Hopefully you are doing well, and thank you so much for coming in and checking out this video, live stream and or VOD. I appreciate you. I'm going to be jumping into the Discord. We're going to be checking out Star Citizen patch 2.24. This is a really big update this year. I think Star Citizen has really knocked it out of the park in many respects, and I'm really excited to be able to have some time today to check it out. It just dropped this past Thursday, and I was like, oh man, I have been wanting to play the latest updates for this game in and of itself. But we're going to actually open up today with a little bit of a reaction video, namely because there's a lot of things that's changed with it, and that's what we actually see up here on the screen right now. Let me jump into, make sure I get the shout out correctly. Detox has made this video. Star Citizen 3.24 is here. All the new features explained. And so we're going to kind of spend some time listening to this. And then once I'm done kind of with that level of reaction, just to kind of get caught up to speed on everything that I've missed, we'll jump into the Discord voice chat. I'm already there, but I'm muted. Feel free to come in and hang out. And if you want to provide any additional context as to what is going on, all are welcome. So let's kick this thing off, and I'm going to just make sure we got a good audio balance. Hopefully that is working correctly. If for some reason I need to adjust the audio, just let me know. Stellar Mass Jack, how you doing, sir? Not fully broken, but a little bit. I think that's with, I think that's the Star Citizen motto, right? It's just, you know, like, do you like bugs with your alpha? Yeah, like, of course you do. Of course you do. What's up, Each? How you doing? All right, here we go.
Star Citizen 3.24 is a small but important patch that changes the way we interact with the game on a fundamental level. So if you've had your head in the sand or haven't been following the updates closely, I'll give you the heads up on all the new features as well as some insight to help you get going. Nice. With the introduction of your own personal instanced hangars, true physicalized cargo and cargo contracts, freight elevators and storage item kiosks, our cargo and items are now more real than ever. But this comes with its own pros and cons. In this video, I'll be explaining the new features added in 3.24 and some of the things you need to know or might have missed to prepare you for an easier time in the verse, so you can save time, enjoy the game's new features, and of course, experience all the new exciting bugs with confidence.
With confidence. Exactly, checking out the new bugs with
Your
confidence.
starting location now has greater implications than ever before.
Okay.
The city you choose to start in will now be where your personal instanced hangar is located throughout the patch cycle, and with it, a new way of interacting with your ships, items, and cargo. The biggest flyable ship on your account will dictate how large your hangar is. From small to medium, large, and extra large, your hangar size is currently only dictated by the largest flyable ship you've bought with real money and will not change based on ships you've purchased in-game for now. Right, CIG? So, choose your starting location wisely. I recommend selecting New Babbage or Arson. These currently provide AeroView style hangars, which are generally nicer, well lit, and with better common areas where you can now style and dress your hangar with personal items, flair, and furniture purchased at Kelto or your LZ's local general store, like Tammany & Sons on Lawville. Since these hangars are personal and instanced, everything you do here and everything you place around the outside of the ship elevator should persist through the patch or until the wipe, so make yourself at home. The persistence here is pretty neat to experience, but moving items and placing them reliably is a bit of a chore, especially with CIG's janky-ass physics and lack of item-based grids. Placing items on top of another is risky business, and trying to get your furniture to sit exactly how you want it can be tedious. I recommend rotating items against solid surfaces to better control item orientation. I'd like to see some kind of hangar overview tool in the future for placing and arranging items, which I assume could be based on the game's Rastar tech, which we'll eventually use for base building. Due to the instant nature of your hangars and the limited number of physical doors at landing zones currently, arriving and departing will sometimes place you in a queue after contacting ATC before a door and your instanced hangar become available. As a seasoned Star Citizen veteran, what's another few minutes of waiting on top of all the other waiting you've been doing? If you choose Lawville or Area 18 to start, you're given the Self-Land Hangar, a much darker, danker but industrial looking space. Both are functionally the same, it really depends on the kind of space and aesthetic you enjoy. New Babbage and Orison are both popular starting areas with ample access to quality ship components, items and contracts with popular surrounding moons and locations to run contracts. The first thing you'll notice when you load in and wake up in your Easy Hab is the storage item kiosks. These were added in 3.23 but are now fully functional in 3.24. Item kiosks have already deviated from their original concept, which required a two-step process in order to access items. Before, you would interact with the kiosk, search through categories of items, and move them into the drawer, which would then give you access to your items to be equipped. Now, however, it functions like the old local inventory, except you can now only access the local inventory by interacting with the item kiosk, as opposed to just pressing I. This goes the same for your ships. There is no longer an internal ship inventory you access by pressing I. You now need to physically place items in your ship's physical space to move them, or if the items are small enough, you can place them inside your ship's storage lockers and spaces if they're available. Later in the video, I'll explain how you can expect to move bigger items around in 3.24, as in many respects, this has now become a lot more difficult compared to what we've simply grown used to. The physicalization of items was always the original vision of the game, and as an active player since pretty much the beginning, it's been difficult getting my head around this change. Simple things like moving weapons, armor, and ship components from one station to another is now far more involved with extra steps. I'm personally all for it, but with Star Citizen being very much an alpha still, the added tedium on top of dealing with the day-to-day issues of the game, and in many respects lack of quality of life, it's easy to see why people are having difficulty.
Yeah, we'll pause right there because Chill says, I saw that I was live on Twitter. Yeah, Twitter is weird because it doesn't necessarily integrate with the chat here. So if anybody's hanging out over on Twitter, yeah, you're going to unfortunately need to come over to Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, if anybody's out there. But yeah, man, like if I ever get the ability to have like X chat integrated into kind of my setup, that will actually be huge. It does let us do it for the podcast, so I know it is possible, and so we wait.
Difficulty adjusting to the bigger picture. You'll find item kiosks for accessing your personal inventory all around landing zone locations, but most conveniently they'll be in your hangar along with the freight elevator.
This guy does some really good
elevator
music.
Is how you
some good
interact
pacing.
with all of your items stored locally at the station. There are two screens, one representing everything you have stored.
I'm gonna say this, like, that was such a fun and way to have a set goal, dude. At 11K subs, if you guys aren't following him, let me pop this video into our little chat here just in case you guys haven't seen this guy. Give him a follow, give him a sub. But you saw that little pop-up, it had him at 42 million. So like, let's get it. Let's go.
Stored locally in the warehouse, the other representing the elevator itself. In order to access the items from your warehouse, they must first be moved to the elevator. With the elevator retracted, drag the items from your warehouse onto the elevator, then raise it again. The items are now physicalized and accessible. You'll now be able to interact with the items and move them around using a multi-tool or your grabby hands. As you produce more and more items though, the sheer quantity can become difficult to deal with. Containers are now your best friend in 3.24, allowing you to pile items into containers inside the warehouse before calling them up on the elevator. There are a variety of store-all container sizes ranging from 1 SCU to 8 SCU. So, with any new start, I highly recommend purchasing a variety of store-all containers from your landing zone store and using them to manage all your gear and items. However, not all sizes are available at all landing zones, and the larger 4 SCU and 8 SCU containers can only be bought from the LEO Low Earth Orbit Station cargo decks, such as Port Tressler, Everest Harbor, Seraphim Station, and Bajini Point, where all container sizes are available. Remember, you'll need to consider the cargo space available on your ship too, if you're going to use your ship to move these boxes around. No more ship inventory. Please note, you cannot drag ship components in or out of containers, as they are not hand carryables. You'll again need to use the freight elevator to move larger items and components. Large ship components take up a lot of space inside containers, but I do think it's worth using them for transport. Remember when I said containers would be your friends in 3.24? Oh yeah, you and containers are gonna get real friendly. Your personal hangar is also where you can now retrieve your ship, delivered to your hangar floor using the new and improved ship Wonkavators. Like everything in Star Citizen, this can take a little while, and you'll have a newfound appreciation for your ship's suspension as you watch your ship bounce and rise from the station's depths and into your own personal space. Hey, before we go any further, I just want to say that if you'd like to see more content from me, consider checking out my new second channel, aptly named More Detox, where I post lightly edited gameplay, updates, discussions, and reaction content across Star Citizen and other video games I know you'll like. Link is in the description. One of the most exciting additions to 3.24 is the introduction of hauling contracts and reputation. You can now take hauling contracts with no upfront cost and deal with the real commodities through the contract manager. Once you've completed the initial certification contract, you'll be offered a range of hauling contracts around the verse, ranging from local planetary contracts to solar contracts between the planets and moons of the system to interstellar contracts, which currently take you to Stanton's jump gates, but I assume will take you beyond the jump points with the arrival of 4.0. A Nomad with its 24 SCU cargo space is a great ship for running a bunch of the initial contracts before SCU requirements get too high. Currently, you can share contract-based hauling missions beyond the certification mission too, so if you had a friend that wants to share the load, you can both run the same contract, handling cargo beyond your capabilities while hitting the same or multiple routes at a time. You're encouraged to carefully select your routes in order to maximize profit. Sometimes being able to pick up and deliver multiple hauls at the same locations. These contracts always involve the usage of freight elevators at both ends of the route, and new contract-based cargo and mission cargo categories have been added to the game to facilitate this.
Haha, there we go, I'm muted. Finger Graphics in chat says the contracts are the only thing so far that aren't working. Okay, well that's actually, I think, pretty stellar, right? Like if you think about it, where if that's the one thing that is still not working, we'll probably, they did an update like right before I have, you know, so I have the game up and I wonder how long that's going to take to get fixed. Anyway, here we go.
Adjustments and economy is still of course a work in progress, but it's pretty decent so far, and with the introduction of hauling reputation, the higher your rep and the more hauling contracts you complete, the bigger the contracts and with it higher rewards. With this massive change to cargo, commodity-based cargo has also shifted to the physicalized realm. No longer will cargo magically appear inside your ship after purchasing at a trade or admin terminal. When purchasing cargo, you can choose to have it loaded automatically for a price over a period of time, with the loading time relevant to the size of the SCU crates you've ordered. Or you can have the cargo shipped to your warehouse to be loaded manually by you and your friends. Disclaimer, friends required. Depending on your crew size, available time and cargo space, it's up to you how you choose to approach the trade. Unfortunately, there is no way to load ships like the Hull C yet, so the only option for these is the automatic loader when docked at a port. Any exterior loading or unloading comes with new dangers, as your cargo will be vulnerable during the entire process. CIG has been touting the new dynamic event Blockade Runner for quite some time, and, well, it's finally arrived in 3.24. Blockade Runner takes place at the LEO, Low Earth Orbit, stations around Stanton. These are the stations orbiting Stanton's planets. In Blockade Runner, a criminal faction has attacked one of these stations, disabled its defenses, and raided it for its precious supply of Zeta Prolinide. In the process, they've apparently set up a blockade around the station, which seems to amount to lots of NPCs spawning within the station's vicinity, creating problems for anyone attempting to take off and land. The Civilian Defense Force, you, are now tasked with retrieving the stolen Zeta Prolinide from squadrons of criminal ships, already thousands of kilometers away, then delivering those supplies back to the blockaded station. It doesn't really make much sense to me that you've got to bring the supplies back to the origin of the blockade itself before, I don't know, removing the blockade, but here we are. To me, it really feels like you're just playing the supply phase of Xenothreat, and after doing a little research for the original announcement of the event, this was funnily enough exactly what they were going for.
We looked back at the other ones that we had made, like Xenothreat, and looked at the gameplay in those that players do engage with and they enjoy. And that was the aspect of going on those wrecks in Xenothreat, picking up the crates and delivering them. They enjoy this experience, they enjoy working together as a team to do it. So we thought, what can we do with that and make a new event?
There is a criminal side to the Blockade Runner as well, which I feel is a simple but clever way to generate some emergent gameplay on the side. When the mission is active, there'll be a contract available under the Unverified tab to find and collect the Zeta Prolinide, then bring it to the local scrapyard in the same system as the blockade. I like this because it promotes gameplay for lawful and unlawful players alike.
Nice.
Lawful players could set up an ambush at the junkyard and hit any unlawful players looking to profit from the blockade.
Looting!
Since you no longer have a local ship inventory, when it comes to looting and carrying large amounts of items that won't fit in a rack or your backpack, like armor and weapons, you'll need to place your looted items inside a container for safekeeping. This has, once again, become a little more tedious. When it comes to looting weapons and armor from bodies, you'll need to drag them off the corpse and onto the floor next to a container in order to be in range to drag them inside the box. The same goes for ship lockers. You'll need to either be wearing the item or you'll need to be inside drag range in order to store it. You can of course keep a container on board your ship and move the loot to your container instead of bringing your container to the loot, but, well, how you approach it is up to you. Good luck.
Things you missed.
Bonus changes now, and abandoned ships can be towed or salvaged with less repercussions. It's no longer illegal to damage, destroy, tow, scrape, or structurally salvage an unowned vehicle. So, there are ships that are grey with just an ID number and no player association after a scan. Problem is, scanning is still somewhat broken, so getting the full lowdown on targets isn't always possible. It is also no longer illegal to tow ships outside of green zones. Scrappers rejoice. Atmo flight has been tweaked so there's less drag on the nose and yaw of ships at higher speeds, although we are still waiting for CIG's control surfaces showed off at CitizenCon last year, which will affect the atmospheric aerodynamics of ships in the future. Multi-tool tractor changes means movement and rotational speeds of tractor-beamed items are, for some reason, a little slower now. And you'll also need a max lift two-handed tractor beam to move 32 SCU crates. These can no longer be moved with a one-handed multi-tool. New locations have been added around the game's planets and moons, which appear to resemble the perimeter bases you find at distribution centers. I haven't found a use for them yet. They're even lacking loot, so could just be set dressing for now. Let me know if you discovered anything interesting at these new outposts yet. Night vision sights and scopes are in game, but at the time of making this video, they are unsurprisingly broken. They'll be marked with LL, denoting low light, and come at a variety of ranges. Unfortunately, the correct shader hasn't been added to all but the 3x scopes, and after searching for almost 3 hours myself for you guys for this video, while finding plenty of LL scopes and sights, I simply could not find the working 3x one. Hopefully this is all fixed as soon as possible, as night vision is so desperately needed, even if it's just in scopes for now. If you've been missing even longer, consider checking out my Star Citizen 323 Features Explained video that should bring you right up to speed on Star Citizen currently. And if I missed anything in this video, please let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching and being part of my channel. Thank you to my Twitch.
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. All right, what's up, my fellow Discordians?
What's up, Brian?
How was your Saturday, sir?
And his name
there
is
it is, Mike. Yeah, I love it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear myself.
Oh, you hear yourself like as in the Discord?
From someone.
Or do you have the site unmuted?
No, it's from Discord, but I don't know who that is.
Not for me because I have my headset on, so you always play through my headset.
Probably than Brian. Because I only heard myself when you stepped in. So
fascinating. All right, let's pull up Go XLR. Fascinating. Let's see here. Routing. All right, let's see here. And let me see what Discord. Oh yeah, there was a Windows update. So like, let's see. Maybe my Discord settings are now like, yeah. Let's throw this.
I don't even have.
Going along with the fascinating part. Here you go.
Yeah, input. Let's go chat, Mike. There we go. Now say something.
There you go. Okay. You're a little louder now, but
get a little louder now.
So, do I have you? No, I have you lowered a little bit, but.
All right. see here. So hopefully that works. Oh,
Yeah, it is better.
sweet.
Okay.
Excellent. Excellent.
Man, I don't even have Windows updates. Like, I don't do auto updates.
Dude, I don't do auto updates. I always, it's like, hey, you want to, you know, like, hey, there's a new update. And it's like, all right. And then I'm like, what's going to break? What do we got to do here?
People complain all the time that Windows breaks things.
Mhm.
I never have an issue, but I don't know. I mean, I have Windows 10, so maybe that's the difference.
With no, I have mine. So I don't have auto updates, but it gets to the point where it says you need to do this update. Shut down now. Fuck you.
Yeah. And then it just occasionally it'll like force restart, force update.
Yeah.
Like after a certain amount of days or weeks. That's kind of annoying. But it never breaks anything for me. But I guess, like I said, I have Windows 10, so maybe it's different. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on Windows 11, so.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm on 10, and yeah, there was a couple of patches where it broke stuff, but it was an easy fix.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time for me, Windows updates broke something. A long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years, I think.
Okay.
It's like a year and a half ago for you, because I do remember you saying you had some problems with your sound and stuff. With a couple patches.
Yeah, I think it was a year and a half ago. Something, yeah. When the Windows update messed with something. So.
Let me just pop this out. There we go.
Waiting for one players.
I know. I was like, all right, we'll see. We'll see if it
one player.
Who knows? Who could it be? One person.
Before you came in, we were talking about 14 classes. What's your least favorite class to play, Brian?
Any of the melees, really. It's like, I would think monk, maybe. Like, that's the one I've struggled with the most.
I was telling you, my least favorite ones are dancer and pictomancer. I have yet to level pictomancer.
Let's go ahead and exit the menu. And we'll try getting that again. I figured I'd warm up with some Arena Commander and see what's up. It's the best location, FPS loadout. Friends are offline. Launch. 11 broke your Wi-Fi before you built a new one.
5, 4.
There we go.
Oh, speaking about Twitch.
3. Move into position. Start.
Yes, yeah.
Is there anybody here with me? It's just me. Okay. Oh no. Return to simulate.
I still got 6 days left on it. Surprising.
6 days left on what?
My Twitch Prime sub.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's like, I haven't been on your Twitch page in a while, so it's like, time to refresh the sub. No,
Nope.
It still says it's still sitting there. 6 days remaining. Okay.
Good old Twitch. If I'm the only person in here in this match,
You may be.
that or it's you're gonna hear me screaming like a little girl when I run across somebody. Ah!
Ah!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Is there a way to check the players? Let's see here. N. Nope.
I would say tab. But
Tab.
And since I did it, I'll do the
tab. But
and since I did it, I'd do the plug. If you have Twitch Prime, use your Bezo bucks. Doesn't have to be here, but somewhere. Make sure to use that free sub.
Be sure to drop Bezos bucks on somebody once a month, because you use it or you lose it. Let's see here.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think you may be the only one.
I think I am.
That's funny.
And there's got to be a way to pull up the scoreboard. Let's see here. Maybe I'm gonna just start hitting some buttons. See if somebody shoots me. Oh, there's the light. Checking my mag. Move. And Oh shit! I'm not alone.
You're not alone.
I need an adult.
Okay, so you're not. So you are. There's at least one other person.
I think I saw two.
Oh yeah, there's two. There's two people.
He's being gangbanged over here.
That's need funny. An adult. I mean, he needs more than an adult.
I'm trying to remember all the keys.
Brian, just be careful.
And the clap of my ass cheeks keeps alerting the guards.
I love that line.
Dude, I need to I really want. I should at some point sit down and play the last Metal Gear that was made. Got him.
I mean, I've watched the first two. They're. I can't say they're anything special. But that's just me.
Got him.
Wow, the time to kill him is terrible. Don't be a camper, Brian.
Oh, dude, I'm a dirty camper. On my team? He's probably my team.
Well,
reload. Oh, I'm down.
Well, at least you're not one of those riot shield.
Oh, dude.
Freaking like comma sticks.
Oh, yeah.
Or what is it called?
Yeah,
What are those called?
100%. 100%.
Those guys were basically cancer. So.
All right.
Anyway, so before Mike and I were talking about classes, and I was saying make FF14 great again.
Ah, yes.
Because
I don't know.
It's so far from what originally drew me in.
Yeah, I don't know if they can in terms of it. I think they're gonna lean into the things that the community essentially. I mean the vocal dominant community.
The vocal minority.
It's the vocal minority, but they like the online really makes them feel like.
But they control the game though.
They control all the.
They're no longer the minority.
The conversation around the game, you know. So it's like you're like, oh, this is what you can and can't say. It's like, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm. It's like with they said the big changes to astrology coming up, but all it was, they put all the cards back, but they took the RNG out of it. You can actually pick the card that you want to draw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was saying that completely defeats the class identity.
Well, the problem is that as the level cap keeps going up, like I think the only real class identity it truly has is in the PvP, because that's where the jobs feel absolutely like interesting and unique. Oh, same team. All right.
Yeah, the only time that you really get class identity in PVE wise
did he disappear?
is the LB3s. That's it.
Because they're all unique, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because with tanks, what they got this expansion for, each one basically traded off one of their mitigations to another class. That's basically what they did.
Like a DPS class or to.
No, all the warriors basically have the same abilities now.
I started to watch Breach's video each, and then I stopped because I haven't hit my weight loss goal yet, and so I was like, I haven't played the story. But generally, I'm not surprised that this is the least enjoyed of the expansions so far.
I've heard the story is
it takes you away from this the center, and it makes it about somebody else, which honestly I think is a good thing. But you got to remember, people haven't been trained up in that.
Well,
how do I heal?
Issue is that the character they draw you around is a Mary Sue. She's not well written.
A good old Mary Sue. See, each said that they did not like that. I'm not surprised because everything is building up, and then Endwalker, like for me, I was like, Endwalker just felt like a really good, like there's some things that I'm like, I really wish they did differently. I think they decided to like, play it too safe, and then yeah, it's like there were some really great moments. I was really tearful during a lot of Endwalker, but there was a level of cathartic nature of it. And then like no matter what, they were going to follow that up with a new foundation, right? So it's like, okay, we're starting to build here.
Yeah, it wasn't I've heard.
Well, and then the new writer, I guess, unseasoned or something like that. So
I mean, apparently people are saying the new writer should like basically GTFO.
Well, is it GTFO or is it just that? Okay, learn and get better, because that's like kind of the nature.
At least what I've seen on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's Twitter, so take it with a grain of salt. But people are basically saying the writer should literally just like have never been hired, and like
is it that bad? Like,
it's highly polarizing. Like some people really like the story.
Let's be fair to the polarizing here piece of it. There's a lot of people suffering a lot of copium about the game, and they will say that it's enjoyable, but deep down they know they're lying to themselves, or they're not being honest. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
I'm not defending in one stance or another on if the story's bad or good.
Oh gosh.
It's as you said, Brian. It's a new foundation because they ended out the cap of 1.0 with Endwalker, the emotional roller coaster that Endwalker was.
Yeah,
right.
And they kind of blanded it out in post.
Da Bear, how are you? Oh, it's so good seeing you. Hopefully you're doing well.
And then now we're having a new foundation. We're not title and chosen champion warrior anymore. We're just a regular seasoned adventurer,
and that's that was how the game. That's what I like. Them moving us to the warrior light and all of that, like in 2.0 forward. It's like, yeah, I get why the story is the way that it is. Oh good. I thought I got him. I guess we just traded. What's up, Solemn? How you doing? Each says the premise of the story was good. Some mature aspects of the game was handled very Sesame Street. Well, I'm curious to see how I feel about it once I actually do sit down and play it, and hopefully that's going to be sometime later this fall. But I still got a little bit of blubber around the waist. We're still working on it. But I did hit a whole new pair of goal weight, so I'm down from a 52 inch to a 40 inch. So nice. That's a lot. Yeah, I like being an adventure too, right? Like that's where I was like, a lot of the complaints that people were saying, I was like, oh, this actually sounds like something I'm excited about, something I'm interested in. The problem I see though is the same problem that Chris and I've been saying that there's going to be in the game for a long time, is that at what point is it just daggum near impossible to sell somebody Final Fantasy 14 because you have to, like, hey guys, you got to watch 1,000 hours of cutscenes, like or you got to pay to skip. And it's like, at some point, I think people are going to be like, all right,
they've actually said that, if I'm remembering correctly, because they said within one of the live letters before Dawn Trail dropped, that they eventually are going to give people an option to where they play it like the Warcraft story did. Where you start out at the very beginning, or you can skip all the way up to say 7.0, and you still stay with that. You're an adventurer, and then just level sync you to that story content.
Yes, I think you're 1,000% right. It is literally, if WoW has done it, the odds that it's going to come in here are going to be pretty substantial, and they are kind of following that pretty much to a T. The question ends up being for me is that, or at least the thing that I keep wishing that we would have seen them do, was a time jump, like a big ass time jump to say like, okay, yeah, you have the blessing of light, maybe that means you're preserved, but okay, here's this point forward, we're gonna say this takes place like 25, 50, 100, I don't care, like some time, so that like it's given, just like with Shadowbringers, right? There was this interesting way they did a time jump by making time work differently on the first than it did on the source. So you had these characters who got, you know, poured over kind of in, you know, kind of part, and then they were there for a while. And so when you got to meet them again, you got to see them with 10 years of being on the, you know, this area or something like that. So I was like, if they did something akin to that with the source, that would have been really exciting. How has Ulda changed? How has Gridania changed? Then that you can go to the new world and this and that. Yeah, you know, like I think that would have been something that I would have really enjoyed seeing, because you get, and then essentially from a starting point, right? You have the ability to say, yeah, I'm going to start, you know, in this timeline or this. And then as the player, you know, I don't know if you change the zones per se, or if you put everybody on the same time, but the other option is make a new game. You know,
and I'm just gonna say this without any really spoilers. Another to the the negative side of all the commentary that's coming out of this expansion so far is that they have brought back something that they weren't really going to do, because they said they're going to be done with it, but they did bring something back, and it's kind of a little moot point, but it's also still, you've got end results still to come after of the Heidel and Zodiac saga stuff.
Oh, everybody got me. Yeah, exactly like Gaia. We should have died and been reincarnated at the end of Endwalker, following the story of Eden. See, that would have been such a really cool moment. And as a way to kind of bring that all together. And it would have, I think, had that hero's journey, right? Like us as the warrior of light, and then the reincarnated version of us is able to happen within different times. Oh yeah, cool. Hey.
All right.
You know, I don't know, man. That would have been an interesting thing. I wonder if that would have just proved to be too difficult. Oh, come on. I was like, headshot. Bummer.
Well, truthfully, in a ways, we did kind of die at the edge of the universe when we fought Xenos.
Right, and then we came back, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, and that's where it's so hard to have these types of conversations, like outside of like people who are like, oh yeah, let's talk about it objectively and how we really feel about it, because then you run the risk of always like upsetting a certain certain demographic within the community who's like, oh my gosh, an opinion other than mine, this game is perfect. Is it? Like come on.
I mean, people are still, one thing I find interesting is that people are still peddling on what I think is like basically false information, that FF14 is the best MMO right now. Just like, I wholeheartedly disagree.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm kind of like, I've been working on a state of the game for Final Fantasy 14, because now that the expansion's been out, WoW has come out, we're going to get some interesting numbers about it, because I would think that perhaps Shadowbringers, Endwalker, obviously going into Endwalker, you had the Asmon bump, and you know, so it's like, have they hit that apex? Have they hit the highest point that they'll have for the game? And then ultimately, how does it go from there? Oh man, hidden in the shadows, he got me. Each says, another complaint that I had was that they're sparing no expense, but some important moments were not voice acted. That is the curse. I don't know why he said that now. Like when he said that, it made me excited. And part of that, I think that promise is really going to be weighed in on in 7.3 each, because in 7.3, he's talked about how they're actually going to be adding in more rewards and things like that. Because one of the problems that they've had is that they've been in content, they've kind of been capped on every patch having kind of the same kind of cadence in terms of, here's the number of mounts, here's the number of this, here's the number of that. So by 7.3, does that feel better is kind of what I'm generally curious of. Also, generally speaking, the 0.3 patch is usually the most dramatic, where players who have just been over-consuming get burned out, and then you know, it's like, okay, like, because usually it was always on the 0.3 that they officially finished the story of the expansion, you know, and then the point 4 was like, now let's move, you know, now we're starting the story to move into the new one.
Speaking of voice acting, I have not heard good things about the English voice acting. And I've heard
yeah, people aren't happy with it. That's what we talked about with Grums.
I've heard some bits of English voice acting, and it is very much some of it is very much phoned in.
Right, and so then people are going to have that spares no expense echo right in their head. Go ahead, Mike.
With the factor of the spare no expense too. Yeah, it was seeming lackluster with how much voice acting was actually, say, in comparison to this expansion to the to Endwalker, but you had a lot more hard pinnacle moments in Endwalker, so yeah, you'd have a lot more voice acting done in Endwalker than there was actually in this expansion with the story, because it just seemed a little more lackluster and carefree of, oh, we should voice this cutscene, but nah, we're not going to do it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be something that his phrase, especially if 7.3 doesn't just slap in your ear like, oh my gosh, that's going to be something where it's going to what you'll end up seeing is the hardest core of defenders will turn, you know, at some point, because at some point they just can't, you know, manage, and then they'll be just like, oh, this game is, you know, it's awful. It's like, it's not awful. It could be better, and that's why we should be giving lots of feedback and not just, hey, can we get more glamour items and more Fantasias? Like, okay.
Yeah, seriously.
But that's also like, again, I know that I'm not a Fantasia glamoring kind of guy, and thus all those updates, I'm like, oh, hopefully somebody's happy. I don't care.
Well, they gave everyone with this expansion request for another free Fantasia too in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't used mine yet. I was planning on thinking about switching back to my Hrothgar on my character.
Honestly, once I became a bunny girl, I just never dealt with Fantasias again.
But yeah, I felt like Dawn Trail was going to struggle. I think I've said as much, you know, I've been told I was an idiot. So it's just like, all right, like I'm not rejoicing in that, you know, people aren't necessarily enjoying Final Fantasy 14. I'm just saying that it makes complete sense to me, like psychologically.
Flounder is basically it's basically like what I've been hearing from most people is that the story content is not good.
I heard that gameplay is fun.
But I heard the actual gameplay content, like the dungeons and the classes, are actually good.
Well, and dude, Pictomancer is so good, and it's like, it makes me though wish that we would see them completely overhaul Black Mage and all the like. I want them to redo the magic system in Final Fantasy 14 so bad. It drives me nuts that Fire 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2 is an AoE. It's like, just bring out Viagra, baby.
The only mage I really liked was Red Mage.
I enjoy Red Mage. Red Mage is fun.
But I mean,
I thought Red Mage was really good in Endwalker. I haven't official leveled it up to 100 yet. And
the most fun I had, I mean, Reaper, before I left, Reaper was probably my favorite class. Like, after there actually was some difficulty, it was nice to not just be carried through. Yeah, I agree. Or I can understand that. But like, Reaper was the most fun I had since Warrior got Fell Cleave. But the issue I had was that even then it wasn't like something felt missing.
Well, and the thing about difficulty though, because I think difficulty is definitely a cure for burnout, because if what I'm finding, especially as I step into Souls games, like I really like it. I like the challenge. I like how I feel when I overcome something, right? Now, obviously, Final Fantasy 14 is not going to go into that Souls level difficulty, like that would be nuts. That'd be cool. And I hear that the Final Fantasy Origins is kind of like their Souls, difficulty. So that's something that if they bring that to GeForce Now, I'm definitely going to check out. But the
this is also one thing that why a lot of the gameplay is a little more fun. They actually brought out full new mechanics for a lot of the fights versus just doing the same old cookie cutter stuff that they have done in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little more challenging, a little more fun, because, ooh, new mechanic, let's learn it.
Right, but the problem also then with difficulty is that as the expansion goes on, naturally, it becomes easier because you get better gear. And so that's where it's like, yeah, it's difficult day 1, but on day 60, like when I step in and play it, like, will I struggle with it? Maybe, but there's also probably going to be, everybody's going to be super geared and know and know it. So I'm not necessarily blind, right?
Yeah, one of the hardest mechanics actually to say is actually in one of the normal level 100 dungeons.
Yeah.
And everyone hates it because it's in the very first fight. The very first boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, there's actually a video out there, a couple videos of people going in, getting as the roulette, and the whole entire party leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Well, and that's the risk, right? You make something too hard, everybody's like, this is not worth my time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's the thrill of, I would like a fast queue time, please. And it's like, well, do you? It's like, you might have better luck in Party Finder in that case. Maybe that's a cultural thing that needs to change within the game, like where it's not about, you only use Duty Finder if you're confident in the content.
Oh, back in Stormblood when I first started, and actually I did do raiding. My first Sasano extreme kill was with a Duty Finder party.
Nice. It can be done. It can be done.
Yeah. I mean, I have a good friend who's like the king of gamers. And he basically, with the last raid tier, I think it was either Endwalker or Shadowbringers, he just like pugged it all.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to beat it. So.
Yeah, playing Viper for the expansion on DPS. Well, one of the things you get is that you obviously get that first time bonus, and like, yeah, it wasn't horrible. Like when I was in queues, like there was also plenty of things to do in that 15 minutes that I was waiting.
Yeah, this was actually the first expansion I actually ever played the poster trial for the expansion. Viper was fun, but then I went back to Reaper for my melee DPS class.
Right. You know, some markers over people's heads, like indicating their enemies, or
that would be a huge boost to me. Like it's like, all right, I'm gonna unload a clip on. Oh no, he's on my team, and because the risk is you don't like. And there is a color, like I can tell, like but from afar and from whatnot, I'm like, I don't know, I have no idea. I'm gonna shoot. I'd rather shoot and be wrong than shoot because like there's no penalty for being wrong.
Yeah.
Now, if there was friendly fire, holy smokes, that'd be wild.
That'd be funny.
Friendly fire does change the thing. So they were talking about, and I haven't made the video on it yet, but we covered it when I was playing No Rest this week, because they were talking about how their they envision their PvP in No Rest more like a fighting game, than anything else because of the skill base, because of how they've got the netcode and everything that they're configuring. And I was like, that sounds exciting. It's gonna be really interesting to see if you just end up having like a dedicated PvP kind of community that's what they're all about. Because the risk ends up being, what I've heard people make the argument is that if your game isn't designed for 100% PvP players are just going to go to a game that's designed for 100% PvP because there's plenty of options on the market. If you really like, a lot of people will say for my PvP I go to COD or something like that, where it's like that's my PvP, but I would love to see how they implement it, because it could be pretty exciting. Like I like PvP. I think PvP is like, that's what we're doing right now. It's like, instead of jumping into the persistent universe and crashing and trying to fly somewhere where I just don't have that skill level yet, was like, yeah, let me have some fun. And if anybody ended up jumping on, that was like, hey, let's go check out like the cargo hangars, then be like, all right, let's go. No problemo.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I feel like at least within the arena, like this mode in and of itself, it feels way more polished than it has been. At least I don't know, I'm having a heck of a lot of fun. I do enjoy shooters. It makes me kind of also in a way miss Destiny, but I just haven't brought myself to pick up the latest Destiny expansion. How is it now that it's the hype has kind of, you know, done its thing? I think that's one of the things I'm finding very interesting.
About that.
How much does hype really play into your enjoyment? Because I just, as last night, I was tired, which was awesome, because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sit down, and the kids were hanging out watching some Teen Titans Go, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna boot up my PlayStation and I'm gonna go play some Final Fantasy VII Remake, because one of the things I want to do this year is I want to play through Rebirth. And because I'm hearing Rebirth is kind of a GOTY contender, and you know, like, okay, cool, you know, Wukong's a GOTY contender, and you know, it's like, okay, yeah, like, how awesome would it be to be able to round out this year having, you know, played several of the contenders to kind of really weigh in on that discussion come awards time. Yeah. Dude, yeah, the Destiny thing, the fact is, like, they were like, it's we're vaulting, and they haven't brought anything back. That's not vaulting, that is deleting. And that's where it's like, okay. And I think, yeah, they because they've also announced there's not gonna be any more Destiny expansions. They're just gonna do kind of story drop content. I'm like, I wonder if that's really gonna accelerate the decline within the Destiny world, because the expansion marketing, you see it every expansion, how pre-expansion it just lights people up. They're excited, you know.
And didn't they say they stop?
Yeah, this is the technical last expansion.
D3?
I don't even know if they started based off of the information that we learned just the other day, like last week or something like that.
Stopped development on it, but I could be misremembering. I'd have to talk to Neonalo.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to talk
he's
to
the resident Destiny guy.
I stopped playing Dust. I got bored of it.
Yeah.
That's my usual stick, though. Is
right. I'm like, I always start the expansion. That's why I was like, I'm not gonna get the collectors. I'm not gonna pre-order. And then so it's like, yeah.
For me, it was the First Descendant came out, and it was just like, well, there's no
Are you
reason
still
for
playing First Descendant? Because I had fun with it. I just
on and off. I've been playing other games too, but I was just playing the First Descendant a little bit ago.
Nice.
So
yeah, they just added a new character that they were highlighting.
There's a story drop, and yeah, they added a new chill character, a new ice character, who seems interesting. She's thick though.
I saw the picture. She's got some bazangas rocking, and I'm it's so funny because you see
there's an all-female skin.
Yeah.
That they added, which I don't know what the hell the obsession is with, like, sexy nuns, but whatever. And like you go through all the characters and they're all basically like bodily very similar. And then you go to the new character Haley, and her like thighs and tits just thicken up, and it's just like, it's like they really like leaned into it.
Well,
I'm not complaining.
That's what we're seeing within, like, if you say like East versus West, like West is completely taking a design difference. I mean, and like Korea and all them, they're like, oh, let's make beautiful, like hyper attractive, you know, characters.
What's
and people like it.
Though, what I found interesting though is that the new character Haley looks really similar to a YouTuber I follow. But she doesn't play the game. I'm not even sure she's aware of it. Of the game. But the new character and
no, I have no ammo. Oh, suck.
That's what you get for shooting allies.
That's what I get for shooting my friends.
I'm just playing the First Descendant. I haven't tried the new stuff that came out 2 days ago. I started trying to work toward it, but like I think they buffed some drop rates of like the new characters' materials because they were too low. Like which makes sense because I did 2 dungeons that her materials were supposed to drop at, and nothing happened. They didn't drop. So I'm just like, that's a little weird.
Win.
Hey, we won. Sweet. Is this my main title these days, streamer? I like how it's like I don't ever consider myself a streamer. I'm a YouTuber who occasionally hits go live. Very rarely, does. But no, this is not my main title. My main title, I would say, would most likely be No Rest for the Wicked. That's one of the games that I'm all in on. Like, that game's phenomenal. But yeah, I'm bought into Star Citizen for sure. I don't see myself, especially because it's an alpha, to spend copious amounts of time in it. And there's a risk, obviously, because I'm playing early access for No Rest for the Wicked, that wipes could eventually come and whatnot, and maybe they will by the time 1.0 drops, in which honestly I'm not going to complain about it too much.
Your main title is
but I would say
support
controller support
everywhere. Anything that controller support is, which controller support is and always will be overrated.
I would say like with this channel, Jill, like you'll see, like this is gonna be more my action RPG content. So it's like, and I posted on Claire Obscure's Expedition 33 because I really am interested in that game.
I've never heard of that.
Dude, they showed it off at Xbox, and now it's come PlayStation. I saw
your video, and I was like, "What the hell is this game?"
Dude, yeah, turn-based, RPG, and somebody was saying like it felt like what I described it more like you have that Lost Odyssey style turn-based where there's like things you can do to dodge. Yeah, I don't like. And then and somebody was saying it was also kind of Paper Mario with those elements. I was like, great. And then I have the MMO channel. So honestly, like, chill. Like, this would be a really interesting discussion question for everybody here. What's up, Walmart, buddy? How you doing, dude? Good seeing you. We're friends. We're just unloading clips on each other. This is gonna probably
the Steam store. I feel you, dude. Black Ops 6 beta last night.
Oh, Black Ops 6, nice.
But fun otherwise.
I'm only playing that because it's coming to Game Pass and no other reason. Got him!
Got him!
All
he thought he lived.
Talking about random games and Brian shooting his friends over, his allies over here, while I'm listening to Gaius for the 10 billion fucking time.
Yeah.
Because I like torturing myself.
I have a phone call. 1 second.
Such devastation. This was not my intention.
No, it's the one before. It's his long ass speech before it.
Oh, the one on the elevator.
Yup.
I love that voice actor, and I'm kind of sad that they didn't get him. I'm back.
Got a 10 minute timer. Maybe I can get 1 or 2 more matches in. So yeah, and so then one of the thoughts that I've like, as I've kind of moved my MMO coverage to, and I just renamed the channel again because I was like, Ginger Prime loves MMOs is too much to say, but Ginger loves MMOs, so I've done that. So it's like, this is Ginger Prime, and then you have Ginger Loves MMOs, and that channel's almost to 20,000 subs, which is phenomenal.
And then you have Blue Protocol Central, which has to be renamed.
Oh, well, I was always planning on renaming that anyway to like Ginger Loves Anime or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just like, well, that got accelerated really fast this week. I haven't renamed it, but I was like, I got a copy of Visions of Mana, and I was like, maybe I'll put a review up on Visions of Mana over on Ginger Loves Anime coming soon channel. We'll see. My main title is the Steam store. Dude, Walmart, man. Oh, Steam. I love it. That's where it's like, I really hope that at some point they'll be like, Star Citizen coming to GeForce Now. It's like, yes. Let me run this game elsewhere.
Here's an interesting question for a creator.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm excited. I love interesting questions.
The suspense.
Well, I was wondering if he was also going to be like comma creator, as opposed to when I said I'm like, I don't consider myself a live streamer. So,
oh, yeah. Well, we're all waiting while his brain's probably going like this.
Maybe.
My brain, I feel, that's happening to more and more as I've gotten older. Like I feel sometimes I'm like, I've walked into rooms more often and can't remember why I went into that room, and it's like,
no, those instances call for this.
Basically.
Look at his face going, oh no, he's shooting me from behind.
So, Brian, do you know who Richard Jennings is? Richard Jennings?
I have no. It sounds familiar, but
he's a comedian from like the 90s, 80s, 90s, and
okay.
I think he died in the 2000s. He committed suicide.
Well, that is common among us comedians.
Say it's pretty common. And he basically like made a joke about the early days of the internet. And he's like looking at a point. He's like, "Nice face, nice tits, nice penis. What I do?"
That's funny. All right, Chill says, let's say you're covering something like Diablo 4 and they introduce a feature that is meant to be played on nostalgia, but it functions nothing like the original. If you made a comment pointing it out, you would piss off the tribalist defending the game, yet at the same time validating the opinions of the OGs. You made you made the content pointing that out.
Okay.
Like, and you made.
I think there's a question coming.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I was like,
not you. If you.
Well, because that's one of the things. Like, I'm very well aware. Like, I have opinions that people don't like that continually come to be true. It's like, all right, this is what's gonna happen. And yes, I piss them off because they don't like what I say. But it's important that I say it, and that's one of the things why, like, guys, like, I appreciate the members here because, and then when you all show up for stuff, because, yeah, there's no way, like, as a father of 6, that this is something that is like a reasonable thing to consider doing, and you guys make it possible that I get to make as much content as I do.
So here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So Robert Meyer Burnett is a big name, a relatively large name in cinema.
Okay.
He's done a lot of stuff. He's well respected in Hollywood, mostly, I think. And he said that the currency of our modern age is authenticity, right?
Yeah.
You'll gain an audience if you're genuine and honest with your audience, right? So like you have, like, at least with Star Wars, right? Because that's my wheelhouse. You see these guys who are shills for Disney.
Everything's great. There's nothing wrong.
They quote unquote don't get paid. Meanwhile, they get access to like a bunch of stuff.
Access is like a freaking gold mine, because if you have access and you have the information, and so like people, and that's how they control people. Yeah.
So they get flown out. These big YouTubers and even small YouTubers get flown out to these studios and get paid and, get exclusive interviews and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they peddle basically what the studio wants them to say, right? They don't say anything bad about the shows or whatever.
Right, because if they cut off that feed, they are cutting off their arm.
Something bad, right? If they say something bad about a show or a movie or something that the studio that gave them access put out, and let's say it's bad, and they say something bad about it, they lose that access.
Yeah, 100%.
So they will peddle the party line, metaphorically speaking, to maintain that access. And what we're seeing is an increase in the number and size of YouTubers who are basically saying, no, this is garbage, I'm not getting access, and here's what I think about it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's... What's up, Stalin?
Yeah, it's I know I'm on several blacklists already, which is honestly a badge of honor at this point. But yeah, like if you wanted to play the game of being like content creator who is able to support himself and a family, like the compromises you would have to make aren't worth it. These are video games. This is about fun. This is about, you know, kind of breaking them down, talking about it. That's why it's always interesting to me whenever I put out like a versus video. Whenever like somebody, like recently I was asked, how do I feel about Wukong versus No Rest for the Wicked? So I put out a video, basically that. Someone's like, how can you compare the two? It's like, I literally was asked a question. I'm talking about these two games. It's like, but it's funny. Some people will just jump to a conclusion of these things, and it's like, I think that's one of the things I find that is in great need on the internet, is that there's a lot of people with a severe lack of integrity. And I'll say one here. I don't think Paul Tassi is a man of integrity. I do not think that. And
so he's a freaking weirdo, right? Because when it comes to Destiny, he's spot on. Anything else, and he's a freaking nut. And it's just like, how does this guy exist? Because he's got
access. He writes, and yeah, exactly.
So like, you know,
I want to make a small little plug in here because I'm gonna be leaving. I'll catch y'all later. And Yammer and Brian offering this out to you. You guys want to see a funny video that'll make your day?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Because I send it via phone. But
all right,
I'll catch y'all later. Have a great day. Whatnot.
Take it easy,
all right, man.
But like, you know, like with Star Wars, you have the Acolyte. So whose voice am I hearing? You're hearing Imran's voice, or Imran's voice.
So yeah, for those for you don't know, Chill, I run my live streams like a general podcast. If you're part of the Discord, which is absolutely free to do, top link in the description. You're welcome to always come in and hang out and voice. Whether even if you don't feel like actually like voicing your voice, you can just hang out in real time on things like that. So just I run and I run them as open mics because somebody was like, you should do a podcast as a call-in show. I go, yeah, that's what these live streams are about. You know, it's just like anybody can call, jump in. We'll talk about what people want to talk about respectfully. But that does mean that, and there's plenty of times where people get really mad at me because they're like, I can't believe you're talking about this. It's like, listen, I think that the best thing we can do is talk as opposed to like fight. But that's just me, in that regards. So. Dude, I appreciate you, Chill, for coming in and hanging out and being a chatter. It's always fun talking with people about games, but it has been a pleasure to hang out with you guys for a little bit. I'll see if I can do another one of these today, or maybe I'll get another game in rotation today. I would like to continue with some Wukong, but also I would like to finish leveling up my mage in No Rest.
Be able to jump in earlier on that next one.
Well, and like I was like, you know what, I need a break. I've been up at since 4 plugging away at all kinds of things, and so I was like, I want to take a quick break before lunch and play some. And this was fun. Like I really enjoy the Arena Commander because it's so easy to jump in and out of, and then all the stuff that they're adding in with this update is great. And then onward to 4.0 where bigger and better and crazier things are going on. But yeah, lots of fun things to play, guys. So that's what we're gonna keep doing. We're gonna keep playing games, talking about games, and pissing people off, man. As life should be.
Discord too later about something.
All right, man. See you, Sam. Yep. All right, guys. I'm gonna hit end stream. I appreciate you guys. I'll leave this one up public. Generally speaking, I put my live streams into kind of a members only category because I'm not. What I've always said is I'm not trying to build a live audience because I can't keep to any consistency in terms of live streams. But I hope you guys had fun, hung out, and enjoyed the conversations, and hopefully we'll see you next week.